A very good afternoon and welcome to the Cabinet meeting on Tuesday the 11th of June. I had to pause then because I suddenly thought it may not be Tuesday, but it is Tuesday the 11th of June. So before we start, we are not expecting a fire alarm, and should the alarm sound, please proceed outside by the main entrance and gather in the car park next to the library. Could I please ask that all mobile phones and electronic devices are on silent. We will pass across the clerk to explain how this meeting will function.
Thank you, Chairman. Please note that we're using hybrid meeting arrangements with officers and councillors who are not members of the Cabinet having the opportunity to join us via Zoom. We're also live streaming this meeting via the Council's YouTube channel to encourage more people to engage in our public meetings. Please can I remind everyone to use their microphone when speaking and turn it off when you've finished. Please can attendees present in the room refrain from watching the live stream or joining the Zoom link, as this will cause interference for our viewers. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. Apologies. I have no apologies for absence this evening, so we will move straight on to the minutes, and that is to confirm as a correct record the minutes of this Cabinet meeting on the 14th of May. Happy to move that from the Chair. Do we have a seconder?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Thank you very much. If we can move to the vote, all those in favour, please indicate. Thank you, that is unanimous. Item 3, disclosure of interests. If we have any member who has a pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest, could you please indicate and let us know that now? Thank you. There are no disclosures this evening. Also, we don't have any urgent items this evening, so we'll move straight on to the first item on the substantive part of the meeting, which is Bus Service Improvement Plan 2024 update. Councillor Billings.
Thank you, Chair. I'm delighted to present the report into the Bus Service Improvement Plan 2024. The proposals that we've got will help us deliver the Council's ambition of improving accessibility for everyone across Torbay, improving connectivity to facilities and reducing carbon output. The proposals will also support our town centres, increasing trip generation into our towns, increasing community cohesion and address inequalities. The bus service improvement plan that you've got will support the whole of the community, residents and visitors, and contribute to a significant number of council priorities. What you've seen was considered at the Transport Working Party on the 15th of May 2024, and I'm delighted to propose it to the meeting. And the following proposals. One, that the bus service improvement Plan 2024 as outlined and set out in Appendix 1 to the submitted report be approved and submitted to the Department for Transport in June 2024. And 2, that the final publication of the Bus Service Improvement Plan 2024, including the detailed design and editorial changes as required, be delegated to the Divisional Director, Planning, Housing and Climate Emergency in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Pride in Place, Transport and Parking. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I understand that Councillor Bye will due to second this one.
Indeed, Mr. Chairman, as a regular bus user, I'm delighted to support this recommendation that we support the Bus Service Improvement Plan 2024. My understanding is there is urgency with this item. It has to be submitted now, and if it is accepted and it is successful, then it may well pave the way for further grants. So we have been successful, as I understand it, with the grants, for example, for our electrification. So I'm looking forward to that. I was interested in reading in the report that the concessionary fares, for example, were not yet back anywhere near to the bus use that there used to be. And in fact, 2022-2023, or 2022-23-24, there was actually a dip compared even with the previous year. So I think we do need, or I think any investment in bus services will be very much appreciated, hopefully in reversing that modest decline that we have seen again in bus usage, because it's in everybody's interest, I think, to get people on the buses for environmental concerns and for easing congestion. So I very much hope this is supported by Cabinet, and I'd like to say thank you to those who've worked on this plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor. For the benefit of those of you who are watching this on the YouTube stream or on Zoom, we don't have any members in the physical room that are not around the table this evening, but of course we can still take questions from the virtual room. So before I bring it back to the Cabinet, I will just inquire if we have any hands raised within the virtual room, thank you.
No, Chairman, so we have 2 councillors currently in the virtual room and neither has indicated.
Thank you very much indeed. So before I move to the vote, bring it back to the Cabinet for any further comments from any Cabinet members. Thank you, in which case I will move to the vote. All those in favour, please indicate.
Unanimous, Chairman.
Thank you very much. And we move on to the Council Business Plan 2023 to 2027. I'll be delighted to move this particular report this evening. So after the elections, all-out elections in May last year, we worked across the Council to co-produce a new community and corporate plan. This sets out the Council's priorities for the next 20 years at a high strategic level. It was always envisaged and spoke about that we would have a business plan that would provide more detail and would sit underneath the community and corporate plan. And it would be the administration's business plan, and that is what is before us this evening. So again, another co-produced document, and probably one of the reasons why it has taken so long to bring this document forward this evening. So it has been backwards and forwards a number of times, and I can only presume the fact that we don't have any opposition members with us this evening is probably due to the work that we spent in getting this particular document co-produced. So this business plan sets out the priority actions that will be progressed together with the milestones in order for us to measure our progress. The business plan also includes a set of performance indicators that will also be used to help measure that success. So moving to the plan itself, our priorities are grouped under specific themes: community and people, pride in place, and economic growth. Each theme has a series of priorities, and each of those priorities have a series of actions which are further broken down into specific time-sensitive milestones. So, as I've previously stated, we have a new set of performance indicators. Some of those performance indicators are new, and as such, they have no outturn for last year. But we will be using this year's data as our baseline as we move forward. The business plan features our 2 flagship programmes, Operation Brighter Bay and Operation Town Centres. So Operation Brighter Bay, as we look to increase resident satisfaction with our parks, our green space, streets and local residential areas. And Operation Town Centre seeks to ensure our town centres are safe and welcoming to all, with a reduction in antisocial behaviour, improving key areas including Castle Circus, and driving on forward on those regeneration schemes. I've only mentioned 2 of our priorities. The plan is full of initiatives that will see us delivering a better Torbay. I commend this document to the Cabinet, and I look forward to unanimous support this evening. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Very happy to second this. And it is a very important document. It is the Council business plan, and we have gone backwards and forwards. You're quite right, Mr. Chairman. And in the document, it shows how much we are going to do and to deliver for the elderly of the Bay, and of course for our children of the Bay, and as you quite rightly said, for the place in the document. So it covers all, but it is about delivery. It's fine having it on paper, on your computer, but at the end of the day, it's delivery. And when we were elected just over a year ago, we promised we would deliver. And this is a document that sets out what we want to achieve. And I think at the end of the day, it's what we deliver for the Bay, making it a better place to live, work and to visit. And this is what it's all about. We're committed to deliver for the Bay. And this is the document on how we're going to do it. Happy to second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor. And I know that all of the Cabinet members around the table this evening have spent a long time with this particular business document. And I know you could speak for probably an hour each on this particular item. I will open it up at this point to Cabinet members if there is something specific that you'd like to pick up. Document is, I think, very easy to read. But Councillor Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you want us to speak for an hour each?
Absolutely not, sir.
On page 38 and 39, I want to highlight what we're committed to do for young people in terms of housing. And I think that the plan has been strengthened by the additions that have been made. So right the way through the plan, as you have both already said, it's very, very strong for children and young people. I'm very proud of that. But in terms of housing for particular groups of young people, I don't think there has ever been any specific reference in previous business plans or indeed community and corporate plans in quite the way we now have. So I do want to read this out. So we're delivering the Council's housing strategy to develop detailed delivery plans to accelerate the provision of new affordable housing, including social rented housing and the provision of accommodation for strategic priority areas, including care experienced young people. And so I'm very, very pleased to see that that is specifically mentioned. And then further on, we're talking about accommodation to ensure that there is a reduction of youth homelessness. So delivery of an increase in the amount of emergency accommodation for young people who are at risk of experiencing youth homelessness. That is there as very much an action in the plan. So all the way through, we're looking at supporting young people again, support young people who experience special educational needs and disabilities to live independently. So well done, well done. I think that the refinements to this plan absolutely make it stronger. I'm particularly pleased to see the commitment for doing our best for children and young people, and particularly with regard to housing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? In which case, I shall move to the vote. Recommendation for your reference is that the Council Business Plan 2023 to 2027 be approved. So all those in favour, please indicate. Thank you.
That's unanimous, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. We are up to item 8, which is the productivity plan. Councillor Thomas, Mrs. J.
Thank you, Chair. The productivity plan presented to us is due for submission to Oflog, which is the Office for Local Government, and will be for publication on our website. This has been compiled using Oflog's limited guidance and sets out what we have recently achieved and the council plans for transformation. It also includes barriers to transformation as requested by central government. Therefore, I propose that the Cabinet approve the productivity plan for submission to government, that it is published on the Council's website, and that the Chief Executive ensures the actions identified in the plan are implemented as part of our day-to-day business. So please can I encourage my fellow Cabinet members to support this productivity plan. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor. And I understand that Councillor Tranter will be seconding this evening.
Yes, fully agree with what Councillor Thomas has just said, and I'd like to second. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any comments on this particular item before we go to the vote? I think probably from the Chairman's position, I would just like to say well done to Cabinet member and officers pulling this one together. The remit from Oflog was somewhat limited and expected it to come forward in about 3 or 4 pages, which was almost impossible to do if you wanted to put the kind of detail that was being asked. So I think we've managed to get as much detail in here and still stay within the guidelines of what was being asked. So well done. So we will move, the recommendation has been moved, and I will move to the vote. All those in favour, please indicate.
It's unanimous, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. Item 9 on this evening's Cabinet agenda is simply for us to note a Cabinet urgent decision that was previously taken by the Chief Executive. The papers are in the report and there is no debate, there is no vote required on this item, and therefore this item will be noted this evening. Moving on to item 10, which is Brokenbury Solar Farm, and ask Councillor Lewis to introduce this one.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Chairman. The report can be seen on starting on page 63. I'm sure all members have read the report. It actually went to Cabinet by the previous coalition partnership in 2020 and had full agreement, and the budget at that time was 2.75 million, which surprisingly has stayed the same, which is good news considering it was 2020 when it went to Cabinet. It's a very good project going forward. It'll help us, Torbay Council, to achieve the net zero carbon by 2050. I believe it to be an ideal site, and it'll be working with our partners, South West Water, to the benefit of us and to the benefit of them. The only reservation I have about this project is, of course, the cost and whether we get the rate for the output that we anticipate to do. And that's why on page 65, 3.3 in the recommendation of decision, and I'll read it out briefly because I think it is important, and Councillor Timon might want to pick up afterwards as he is one of the people that it will go to. So 3.3, that the Chief Executive, in consultation with the Leader of the Council, Finance Director and Cabinet Member for Finance, should review and agree the final business plan after the EPC tender and PPA stage are complete, and subject to that agreement is then authorised to agree and finalise, determine the terms and enter into the contract with South West Water. So I think that is important. And the 3.2 is outlining that it's not just the cost of building the solar farm, it is the cost of the ongoing maintenance and the total package of doing the solar farm. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm very happy to propose this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Move across to Councillor Tyman, who will second this. And I think just for reference, Councillor, if you're able to conclude with item 1 and 2, the wording, to read out the wording. I've got it here if that's a difficulty.
The
but I think
full
just for,
wording of the proposal.
Yeah, just for clarification. Councillor, thank you.
I will conclude with that. Yes, I'm happy to second this motion. I think Councillor Lewis has covered the main aspects. I think it is worth colleagues noting that the prudential borrowing of 2.75 million, which was set a couple of years ago and is still maintained within this, is in fact quite a lot higher than we are hoping the costs will actually be. It's still anticipated that they will be not dissimilar to the figures that were put forward 2 years ago, and that could be 300,000, 400,000, easily less than this figure. It is giving us scope to agree a scheme with up to 2.75 million, so that there is no need to revert back to Cabinet and Council and delay things if that should be necessary. In fact, the financials, which we're not going to go into in detail, because we'd need to move into part 2 if we did, show that there is a good surplus on this scheme at 2.275 million, and indeed a reasonable surplus, even if it was 2.75, assuming that we get the expected rate. With that number of unknowns still within the whole thing, the next stage of discussion and getting final quotes will be very important. And it's partly because of that that we have left in this scheme that the scheme has got to be accepted on the provision that there is an appropriate surplus per annum over the life of the scheme, commensurate with the level of risk. Again, until we've got the final details of the negotiation with the user, we don't know the full extent of what those risks might be, and therefore we can't at this moment set what that level of expected return will be. I think that there's a lot of room for manoeuvre within the figures, and I'm confident we will be able to bring a scheme together. But if we can't meet the terms, there's always the opportunity to come back to Cabinet and to Council. I hope we won't need to go down that route, because I think we'd all like this project to progress as quickly as possible. So if I just quickly run through the recommendation in total. Point 3.1 is that, subject to 3.2 below, the Director of Pride in Place be authorised to proceed with the project to deliver a solar farm at Brokenbury. 3.2. The Cabinet recommends to Council that up to 2.75 million of prudential borrowing be approved, subject to securing a unit rate per megawatt hour that exceeds the loan repayments, covers projected maintenance and other operational and equipment replacement costs, and provides an appropriate surplus per annum over the life of the scheme, commensurate with the level of risk. And 3.3, that the Chief Executive, in consultation with the Leader of the Council, Finance Director and Cabinet Member for Finance, should review and agree the final business plan after the EPC tender and PPA stage are complete, and subject to that agreement, is then authorised to agree and finalise the detailed terms and enter into contract with South West Water or another purchaser of the electricity.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Tyman. We open up to the Cabinet for any further thoughts. Thank you very much indeed. Of course, this one will be a recommendation, as Councillor Tyman just read out, that will be going to the next full council meeting. So all those in favour, please now indicate.
That's unanimous, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. We now come to item 11, which effectively is when we must say goodbye to our colleagues within the virtual room and also watching us on YouTube. The next item, and I will read the wording exactly as it comes from the Local Government Act 1972, where we need to exclude the press and public, and it is to allow the Cabinet to consider passing a resolution to exclude the press and public from the meeting prior to consideration of the following item on the agenda, on the grounds that exempt information as defined in paragraph 3 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972 as amended is likely to be discussed. Do I have a seconder?
Happy to second, Mr. Chairman.
Move to the vote. All those in favour, please indicate.
That's unanimous, Chairman.
Thank you very much. So at this point, I would like to say thank you very much for joining us this evening. The stream will stop.